people have been referring to today as a data gap, and that is the seasonal data gap that we experience in the Great Lakes, but really in lake systems in general. I just attended a meeting that was organized by the Cooperative Institute for Great Lakes Research, SIGLR, about winter limnology in general, not just the Great Lakes. And I want to talk a little bit today about the fact that one of the big gaps we have is a seasonal one. We spent a lot of time arguing at this meeting about what the meaning of winter was. Is it calendrical? Is it meteorological? Is it, my suggestion is when the lake is below 4 degrees Celsius. Other people said there has to be ice on it. Doesn't really matter. The point is we all acknowledge that there's a very significant seasonal bias in the data that we collect, and we should think about ways to get around that. And so I want to talk now more specifically about why there isn't more winter data in the Great Lakes in particular. And these are short, I'm going to say a lot of very obvious things here, but it doesn't mean that the problem isn't there. And so logistics, sort of obvious, right? If you are working on a small lake, the lake freezes over in the winter and you take your snowmobile out and auger through and you do science through the hole. We can't do that on the Great Lakes. The scales of the lakes are far too great, the ice moves around, it would be unsafe. If you are an Arctic or an Antarctic researcher, there are purpose-built research vessels that you can take to go out there. I don't expect that's going to happen here anytime soon. And so it limits our access to the lake during these important seasons. And I might even increase a lack of winter data or dearth of winter data to a lack of fall, winter, and spring data. There's just not a lot going on out there during those seasons for these very sort of straightforward logistical reasons. Another one is the academic calendar. Academics have a hard time getting out in the middle of the winter. The vast majority of the work that you see in the literature is during the summer, and there is a boring and practical reason for that. It's because that's when academics are teaching. And the last one, and I had initially put down the quiescence hypothesis here, but I don't think any of us really think that the lakes go to sleep during the winter. It's colder, there's less light, there might be ice cover, in which case you don't have that direct connection between the atmosphere and the water below. But we do sort of say, oh, it's quieter out there, there's not as much productivity, it's probably not as interesting. The lake continues to be the lake, or the lakes continue to be lakes and continue to do science, even though we're not out there. And I think that we need to figure out ways to get around that. Oh, I'm going to say really quickly what data is there. There's lots of remote sensing, and so we get things like surface water temperature or ice cover. We're really good at ice cover, but we don't know anything about, for instance, ice thickness and color. There's some coastal meteorology that's gathered, and then there's very limited in situ data, and that's mostly physics data, because physics is easy compared to biology. Primarily temperature, some currents. I'll point out that temperature is probably one of the key pathways through which climate change impacts the lake. You might not care about the lake itself being warmer, but you do care about the impact of that warming, of the warmer lake. Winter conditions in lakes also, in the Great Lakes, tend to play a significant role in the course of the year. And so getting a better handle on what's going on in the winter is going to improve our understanding of the lakes year-round. And again, an almost complete lack of bio or geochemical measurements during the winter. And I think I'm just about out of time, but what I'm going to suggest is one thing we can do is on the very small number of subsurface assets that we have in the lake, my lab, but also GLERL, and really my lab and GLERL, I think, Overwinter stuff. There are opportunities as technology changes and as resources become available to use these subsurface assets to start to gather year-round data of these biogeochemical parameters to provide a much better context for the spot observation